Welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at The Lost Hero, Chapter 15, Piper. Now, in this chapter, Piper just wakes up from a sleepless night, really. She couldn't get much sleep. And when she gets to the cabin and she wakes up, usually in the morning, she looks terrible. But this morning, she still looks beautiful. She tries to mess up her hair, but poof, it just comes back beautiful. She tries to wash off all the makeup, but poof, it comes back perfect. She can't get rid of her blessing that Aphrodite gave her. Some of the students try to give her some clothes, but all the clothes they offer her are still really fashionable, and Piper just doesn't like them. They're not her style. While Piper's getting ready in the morning, she thinks back to the night before during the campfire when she was walking back to her cabin and everyone was talking to her and they were looking at her. And yeah, sure, maybe it was nice, but it didn't feel like they really cared about her. The only person that it really seemed really cared about her feelings was Jason. And she thinks about this moment and she's like, oh, I wanted to kiss him so bad. But Jason seemed too afraid. And if you remember, Jason was so scared because Piper looked so good. He just felt nervous even talking to her. But Piper was feeling the same. She really wanted to grab onto Jason, but he looked too scared. Well, after she's thinking and getting ready, Drew starts to command all the people in the cabin, telling them to clean up, to do different things, to get out of the bathroom. It's her turn. And she just has this like strong control. And when Drew goes into the bathroom to wash her face or brush her teeth, change her clothes, whatever, Piper starts to ask, why do you guys listen to Drew? And she starts to learn that, Drew is the cabin leader, so they should follow the cabin leader. But also Drew has charm speak, so she can say something to you and then you will do it. So she can make you do some really embarrassing things or really terrible things, and no one wants to get into trouble with Drew. Drew comes out and she kind of hears the people talking to Piper, and Drew tries to force her control and starts to push Piper, saying she's ugly or bad. And they have this kind of little battle with their words, right? And Drew starts to say like, oh, I didn't think Aphrodite could have ugly children, but you're so ugly. Your dad must be really ugly. And Piper was like, she just felt so hurt. And she said, my dad is, and I can't remember his name, but this famous actor. And everyone in the cabin is like, that's your dad? And they have this poster of her dad on the wall, and suddenly everyone's really excited to talk to Piper, and they want to get to know her, and they want to see if she can introduce them to their dad or her dad or get an autograph. And Drew starts to feel like she's losing power and control over the campers. And they kind of go back and forth talking about different things. Drew keeps hinting that Piper might be a traitor or might be a spy. And she talks about how the old cabin leader was actually a spy. And if you read the other Percy Jackson series, you could see maybe that story where the cabin leader of the Aphrodite's cabin was giving information to Kronos. And she was spying for them. She was one of the enemies. And Drew keeps hinting that Piper might be the same, or Piper feels that way. And so Piper's like, So sometimes she'll like push Drew, but then Drew will say something and Piper she get kind of quiet. Well, this continues on for a little bit. Finally, Drew is gonna go to breakfast with the members of the cabin, and Piper's gonna go off on her quest. And before Piper, just as Piper leaves, she kind of looks back. She's like, "Hey guys, you don't have to listen to Drew, right?" And suddenly, the campers are like, "Oh, really?" And so they kind of have this mental maybe battle in their own minds as Piper walks off. And she kind of promises to herself, "I am never going back to that cabin." Well, let's look at some vocabulary. The first one is zit. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a zit before, but before Piper was glamorous from Aphrodite, she had a little red spot under her nose. And maybe this red spot would grow bigger and bigger, and finally, if you pushed it, some white stuff would come out. Ugh. I didn't want to put a picture on here to show you because it might be a little gross. But many people in their lives get a little spot on their face, and it grows, and there's some white things inside of it. We call that a zit or a pimple. Another word is haunches. And I have a picture here for you because haunches is kind of like that back area of your leg and your butt, like just that whole part. And we can see this guy, we call it maybe sitting on his haunches or standing on his haunches. And that's kind of this style of sitting like this. And there's a boy, I think his name is Mitchell, and he's cleaning underneath the beds, and he's kind of on his hands and knees. When Drew comes back, he kind of sits like this style on his haunches, or stands on his haunches. And just kind of what that means, sitting or standing like this. In America and in the West, we usually don't sit like this flat-footed. We'll usually be on our toes, and we have different kind of style of sitting like that. But in any case, that's kind of what it means. Some discussion questions I'd like to ask you. The first one being, have you ever named a zit? If you remember Piper, on her nose, this zit had been there so long that she just gave it a name. She said, "Oh, that's Bob. Hey Bob, you're still on my face? Okay." Have you ever had a situation like that? Maybe you broke your arm and you had to have a cast on your arm. Maybe you had a name for your cast. I don't know. Have you ever done anything like that? Named something funny? Or it could even be a backpack or something. The other question is, have you ever been ashamed to wear something? Maybe your mom bought you some clothes you didn't like, or you went out with your dad and you had to wear something that your dad gave you. Or maybe it was at school, I don't know. But you put it on and you're just like, "Oh, I hope no one sees me. Oh, this is so ugly." Or, "I look so ugly wearing this." Have you ever been ashamed of wearing anything? I want to hear a story. What happened? Well, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much for joining me for another book club preview. Bye-bye. Hey, if you have any questions about the video today, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. If you had any other vocabulary words that you wanted to know what they meant, let me know. And also, if you're interested in maybe joining one of these book clubs, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.